5 years of age, the war was in UK, and all children would be sent up north in trains. So his parents decided to send him back to Ireland so as that he wouldn't be sent up north. And they asked a friend who was travelling back to Ireland to bring him, and they followed in a day or two. Pat went to the Abbey, to secondary school, and then in Intercert they sent him to Cistercian College, Roscrea. Father Joseph, who went to school with his dad, told his parents that he was not academic and that he was a fantastic businessman and would make a great businessman. So they came back to Tipperary, and there was a man in Tipperary called Hogan at the time who was giving up his business. Part of it was funeral director, and the other part of it, he used to sell tickets to go on the liners to New York. So Pat took over that, and that was the start of his travel agency.
As a role model, I suppose the main thing was his approach to problems and his balance in life. His work-life balance was very different to other people. He didn't do a 9 to 5, didn't understand a 9 to 5 because he came from a farming background and grew up through the war and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, from that point of view, that just didn't come into his mind. But his work ethic was full on, you know, basically 6 days a week. He worked flat out 6 days a week and took Sunday off. He tried to build a business. Then he got up to 4 shops at one stage. It obviously was a big drain on the house. Like we were living out of nothing, literally upstairs over a shop. While all this was going on, my mother and himself were a fantastic team to make all that happen. And then they moved into a business property down the main street, and that really then exploded the business up to another level. Funny story, when he went on the first flight to America, anyone that went to America before that always went by ship, and they never came back. There was a wake at the airport or at the port when people left, because they never came back. There was no reason to come back really. So when he arrived in the United States and he met a lot of his friends here from Tipperary, they couldn't understand how he could come over and go back in 2 days. And it was a completely new experience for them. They'd never come across that before. And you know, later in life then, particularly when he retired, he changed completely. He became a much more caring, relaxed person. You could talk to him much more easier. You could discuss problems with him. He'd think about stuff and he'd come back to you with a completely different solution to whatever you thought might be the right way to go about something, and he would be right. I mean, no matter how you'd argue it out, you know, the way he would be doing would work further into the future than the solution you might come up with, which might be a short-term thing.
In December, the 16th of December, 1982, he was coming down from Dublin, having been there for a couple of days at meetings, and it was a very frosty night. There was frost and ice everywhere, and he was near Portlaoise, and the car skidded and went into a wall. And the car was a write-off, and he was taken to Portlaoise Hospital. So I went up the following morning. There was no point in trying to get up that night because the weather was so bad. So I went up on the train the following morning, and then they sent him by ambulance from Portlaoise to Stephen's Hospital in Dublin. So I had to get permission from the ambulance driver to be allowed to travel with him on the ambulance. And he was in Stephen's Hospital then for about 5 weeks. And most of his right hand side was all broken, his hip and his knees and ankles. And so after the operation he came home and he fought hard, doing all kinds of exercises and walking and doing everything to get himself back, which he did do. The aneurysm then happened in 1995. So he was in hospital in Cork for about 3 months, because every time I would come home to do the wages and things on a Thursday for the staff, and when I go back on Friday or Saturday, something else would have happened to him, and all the things that one can get having had a brain hemorrhage. The sister had explained to me one day how many things you can get, you know, having had a brain hemorrhage, and I'd say he got each and every one of them over the 3 months. So eventually at Christmas that year, on Christmas Eve, they told him he could go.
Earlier this year, he was suffering from a lot of back pain, and he was very uncomfortable, and they were treating him for flu, and he went off to hospital in early June to get tested, and he was never ever admitted to pain, only until the very, very last 24 hours that he was in extraordinary pain. But if you think of it, he was on morphine for 11 weeks. That doesn't happen. The majority of people are on morphine for 6 days. He was on morphine for 11 weeks, and on the driver, which is basically the machine that automatically injects it into you, and that just doesn't happen. So that showed an incredible strength internally, but mentally and everything else, that he wanted to stay alive.
How my granddad inspired me. Now, when I face anything, I do kind of come back to what he used to say all the time, which was just never let it get to you. Kind of let the negativity just go over your head, never get involved in the drama, just live your life as best you can. And I honestly believe that's a great way to live. Like, he lived his life that way, and he lived an incredible life. He was nearly with my grandmother for 60 years. I mean, that's what love is to me. Like, I mean, they just did everything through thick and thin. They've been through the worst things life could possibly give you, and they still came out of it with 5 amazing kids.